Hi friends, today we are covering Mother's newly released Chromolux pots, or rather newly released shades. We had the Chromolux formula introduced last year in the second Star Wars collab back in December of 2022, and I was happy, thrilled to discover that we have new shades. And spoiler alert, I love this formula. I love the formula. Again, when it debuted with the Star Wars collab, I acquired all four. And yes, I did attend the event. I received Falcon Noir as comp, as well as another shade in a gift bag. The comp was from a makeup artist. The other one was in a makeup bag. And I bought the last two from the four. 6 new shades released last week. And allow me to make a comment on the release. I was under the impression when Mother leaked or kind of teased at the fact that something new was coming, but the next day it went live. Usually when the brand insinuates that something is coming, they'll reveal it, and then there's a couple of days before it actually goes live on the site to purchase. But it went from something's coming to here it is, buy it now. I thought that was rather strange and not consistent with the typical rollouts Pat McGrath Labs does, and why it wasn't on my radar to buy. And I only knew about it because I saw Lexi's post on her community board and saw all the 6 new shades, and it was like, okay. Now family, yes, I wanted all 6, 100%. I considered purchasing the bundle. The total retail value was $210, or is rather, and it was $176 for all 6 shades. And I was like, look, just get 2. Just get 2 for now, Alicia. And these aren't limited, right? Like the shades were limited in the Star Wars release. I believe all these shades are permanent. Let me double check, however. I'm reading the product blurb here on the website. It does not mention anything about this release being limited. I think these are kind of like the Fetish Eyes Liquid Eyes. Were those limited? I can't recall. I ended up getting a duo, which I thought was a reasonable first purchase from this release. And individually, these go for $35. And yes, of course, they are made in Italy. They have a suggestive shelf life of 24 months, weigh in at a total of 3 grams or 0.10 ounces of product, and that is consistent also with the Star Wars product. As I mentioned, I purchased the duo, which you do get a small discount on. Together, total goes to $70, but you can get the duo for $62, and I opted for Midnight Temptress and Lilac Liaison. Liaison. I can't read. Listen fam, I'm still eyeing the other shades 100%, and I do like the overall softer route this release, because you see Midnight Temptress is the deepest shade here. With this one, let me see which one this is called. Hello. Copper Siren. Copper Siren I was eyeing. Listen, I'm sure these will go on sale eventually, and why I held back, just bought the ones that spoke to me the most, because I already had 4, okay? If I bought all 6, that would have been 10. That's a lot of Chromoluxes. Going over the packaging, it appeared that the sticker from the recent release kind of looks like a rejected design from the Star Wars collab. You see, this kind of has a galactic feel about it in terms of the illustration and the neon lights, the little crescent moons, except now it has the actual product name on the sticker versus the Star Wars logo from the collab release. Taking a look on the inside, you have a protective plastic press here to keep the product from drying out. So make sure when dealing with it, when you're not using it, this helps to prolong the life of your product, because one of the noteworthy characteristics of Mother's Chromoluxes is the silkiness and smoothness of the texture. Look at that. I just love how this goes on, and I'll show this now, how beautifully it blends. Now you see, compared to the first swatch, blending it will take away some of the shine. And I wanted to make note of that because someone had mentioned on the YouTube short that I uploaded last night that they expected these to be shinier. I think it's important to align expectations with what the product is designed, formulated to deliver. It reads on the product page that the Chromolux is a shimmering metallic finish, and I think that's consistent with what you're getting here. Naturally, if you blend something like this out, it might appear more satin in finish. And also consider how these swatches are being shot. I did shoot my YouTube short in not enough light. I just wanted to get it up, so I had to solely rely on my Glamcor, because if I were to shine a flash here, you will see a lot more sparkle, right? And I think that's beautiful shine. But something to consider also is the smoother it is, you're not going to have something as shiny, right, when it's not as dry. An example of that is Natasha's Chroma Pots, right? This is the Chroma Crystal top. And just from the texture alone, you see how this is more hard pressed. I have here bronze, right? This is not going to have the same pickup as a Chromolux. The Chromolux are creamier. They're easier to pick up with finger and or brush. I really have to work that in, but that's going to serve more as like a topper. And the drier texture will deliver a little more shine. But I would, listen, the Chromolux is giving, all right? There's a lot of pearl in there. Here is the bronze top coat. And if you still wanted more from the Chromolux, which I get, I think that prompts you to dive in to your astral textures in the motherships. For instance, I immediately thought of the lilac shade from Utopian Dream. This one here, listen, if you wanted to apply that on Midnight Temptress, go ahead. You're going to get more shine from that. Or if you wanted to dip in to Moonlit Seduction and hop into that shade, which is not baked. Let me see here. Utopian, I think is baked. Utopian, this lilac shade is baked. I forgot if the one from Moonlit Seduction is baked or not. This one's a little more flaky. If you want a little more shine, I think that's beautiful on top of Midnight Temptress. And if you wanted to go to the OG Ritualistic Rose Astral Quad that released back in the holiday 2019? Rose Quartz 005. Stop it. That will look beautiful. I mean, that's basically Midnight Temptress. This might have a little more. I think they're both plum, if I'm not mistaken. But you let me know down below. Again, I'm not too pressed about it being so shiny, because if I really wanted to up the shine, I can take it there. But again, I think the formula is fantastic in giving you pickup, blendability, color payoff. I think the staying power is pretty good. I would reinforce it with perhaps a tackier primer, because what you have in blendability, you also have emolliency, which tends to affect a shadow's wear on the lid. Just keep that in mind. And moving into Lilac Liaison, which, listen, the lilac shade I dig. I think it is just gorgeous, not only by itself on the lid, but as an inner corner highlight. I immediately thought of the lilac shade in Byredo's Remembrance. If I wanted a little more shine from that, I could apply lilac and then that shadow on top to really bump it up. Ooh, that would just be beautiful. Or again, go into my motherships, and in this case, I think this shade from Moonlit Seduction would pair beautifully with Lilac Liaison. Just, I mean, that definitely helps to bump the shine. If you want to see it more, I have to bring in my flashlight from underneath. There we go. Ta-da! Ta-da! Look at that. Ooh, that's pretty. Now that we have product details and swatches out the way, it's time for you to come in a little closer. that's enough. I don't have my lids prepped because I do like how the Chromolux can serve as a one and done eyeshadow look, or it can reinforce whatever you choose to apply on top, which is how I also like to treat it. If you're wondering about other pot eyeshadows, those comparisons will be after the demo. If you wanted to skip over, you'll notice that you have the chapters here on the time bar, as well as the timestamps down below in the description box if you wanted to head over to that section now. In my YouTube short, I just popped on Midnight Temptress all over the lid. I didn't waste any time, so you can see just the color and the intensity of the shade. And again, I love these. I love them since the Star Wars release, okay? I mean, I felt and still feel these are consistent with what that formula gave the first time I used it. By far, one of my most favorites is Falcon Noir, this charcoal steel. Like, you could wear this under anything to really give something a little more body. But back to Midnight Temptress, I would like to use... my worker is in my to-go bag. My Bay overnight bag. So I'll go in with Sonia's worker. And again, look at that pickup. It's fantastic. I'll whip it on the lid first. And if I wanted more shine, I could go in with a finger on top of what I already applied to bump up the shine. But first, we want to get the color all over the lid. And you can just see how effortless it is to blur the edges once you get the majority of the color on your lid. I feel the texture blends smoothly, evenly. It has a natural gradient effect. And funny, this reminds me of the Chanel. The color's dead on. Of the Chanel loose powder eyeshadows that I bought. I know, simping real hard. Love that shade. Definitely the Chromolux is not even close. Just being easier to plop on the lids. I mean, you just go from brush to lid and that's it. You're done. If you wanted to keep it on the lid, great. I like to place some on the lower lash line to complete the look. And with that, I'll use a much smaller brush for a controlled application here. If you really wanted to smoke it up, you can definitely take it lower, without a doubt. If you wanted more of a blend here, instead of going in with my fluffy packer brush that I consider the worker to be, you can then follow up with a fluffier brush, no product, rely on the brush itself to further the edges a little more so it can appear softer, right? That is something you can do with the Chromolux, which I feel it's one of Pat's most versatile formulas out of her entire line, even more versatile than her Fetish Eyes liquid shadows. These are longer wear, staying in power, and I'll cover this again during the comparisons, but you'll just get more shine off the bat because it is a liquid product. But keep in mind, you will have to work quickly in order to blend the product until it sets, because when it sets, it's not budging. And that's what you want, right? That's why you will reach for something like the Fetish Eyes liquid eyeshadow. But if you wanted a formula that's more forgiving, that it gives you or allows you more time to manipulate and place and blend, then the Chromolux will be your choice. And of course, we got to go in with Lilac Liaison on the inner corner. That was my go-to combination. What I immediately thought of when seeing these shades, I was like, yeah. And I'm sure the team thought of as well when curating these duo combinations, which they have several of. I'll give them that. They have different combinations for the 6 in case you wanted to mix and match. I think they cover all the bases there. But just see how lightweight that appears over Midnight Temptress. It just flows seamlessly into that color. It doesn't look box store. It doesn't have harsh edges, and we can take a smaller brush now and tap the lilac shade here on the lower inner part of our lash line, combining it with Midnight Temptress. In fact, hopping in with a little more Midnight Temptress now with my number 3 rougher brush to intensify the color. And you could also intensify the color along the lash line and keep it softer on the lid and even softer through the crease. So you can play with the varying types of intensity that are achievable with this texture, and why, again, the Chromolux is goated for that reason. So we got eye look number one. Look how simple that is, and why I had to go for this color. Because when it comes to plums, family, plums I feel are a fantastic everyday smoky go-to shade. That's not necessarily dark brown, caramel, or from the neutral brown category, and I love them shades, okay? Rose, mauve, even khaki olive, plum. Sign me up. Now, what I did in the short is applied Lilac Liaison on the lid and then Midnight Temptress as a wing liner. You can totally do that, but I wanted to do another combination and use Midnight Temptress as our smoky bracket. So much like kind of what we did here, except now I'll start on the inner and outer part of my lid, tap Midnight Temptress there, and take it through the crease, and perhaps this will be more of a rounder application because I took it out beyond my lash line for our first demo. Perhaps for our halo eye, it'll be a softer finish here where I don't take it out as far beyond the lash line. Ooh, that's pretty. I like that. Now you see the color is softened because I blended it out. Not a problem. If you wanted to intensify the color, then take a smaller brush and then you place it on those portions which have already been blocked out, right? So there you got a little more color there. And what I mentioned in trying Chromolux for the first time last year, the pickup from pot to brush to eyelid is sensational. I mean, easy. Now with our lilac shade, right smack in the middle. And that's going to bring forward that spotlight effect here. It's just gorgeous. You could use your finger as well. I mean, this application probably will be fine with the fingers since no accurate blending is required at this time. And if you wanted to refine the blend through the crease, you can take whatever size brush appropriate for your crease depth, shape, length, whatever, and refine the edges like so. And also, or you could bring it up higher with a larger brush to further blur. Yeah, ooh, that's pretty. Oh, I like that. And like we did on the other eye, except actually I'll mimic what was done here on the lid. So we'll have Midnight Temptress on the inner and lower parts of the lash line, then going in with Lilac Liaison right dab in the center. And I could even pull it down a little bit for that extra look of shine, but it's like I'm crying shine. There it is. Ooh, that's pretty. I like that. And of course we got lilac here on the inner corner just to stay consistent with everything. Okay. Now, here's what I wanted to suggest. If you want it a little more, let's say we could hop back into Utopian Dream. I think this shade here, Lilac Moon something, I forgot. We don't need much, all right? Just tap that all over Midnight Temptress. Look at that. I'm telling you, it's a completely different color now. But listen, if you wanted the shine and reflectivity, it is yours. If you didn't want to change the color, then you would need to hop into something more neutral like Mother's Astral Solstice in Midnight Sun, my favorite mothership. And why it is goated, because the versatility. You don't have to worry about changing the color, the base color of your lid. If you wanted a little more shine, you just tap Astral Solstice right over Midnight Temptress. Is going to give you a little more reflectivity. Naturally, if you apply something with the color flip or with a different base color, it's going to introduce that shade into the mix. Now, we could go in with a different shade. I'll hop into this one on top of our lilac shade here on the second eye, and that definitely makes it brighter and a little icier. It's going to have it appear a little more silver leaning than it have that original lilac shade, so just keep that in mind. But ooh, that's pretty. I like that. Now let's go over these different product comparisons, right? Again, I'll set this up first with Mother's Midnight Temptress from the Chromolux line. I'll also go in with Natasha Denona's Chroma Crystal Pot Topper. That is in bronze. You can just see it's all about the reflectivity, not about the base color. This is something you will apply on top of something else. And I have the Marc Jacobs sequins. Remember these? In Blitz Glitz. Oh my goodness. These are so old, but here it is. Similar in color, right? This looks to be a little more violet leaning. So let's take a look. And they feel the same. Actually, the Marc Jacobs might be a little more creamy. It has more texture, which is okay, but you have to be careful with how much you pick up. And definitely this is more cooler in color and undertone overall than Midnight Temptress. But because you have more flakes in here, you're going to get more shine. But it's a little tougher. It's not tougher to deal with. I think it's more so you can't be as liberal and like haphazard with your application and pickup like you can with the Chromolux. The sequins is giving. Okay. Now we have the Hourglass Scattered Light Pots. I think this was included in a holiday trio set in Molten, and these are made in Korea, actually. These I remember to be a little more drier in consistency. Yeah, again, this is Molten, which is like a plum. Can you see a through line here with the colors that I like? Definitely a little drier in consistency, but this product is also older, right? So that could probably affect the pickup. I have Vivid, which is the olive, and I think it's the same. It's definitely a little more hard pressed, right? But you still have beautiful base of color. Here we go. And I think you're going to get a little more shine because this is drier. But in terms of the blend, you get more blend, I believe, from the Chromolux. The Scattered Light Pots, I think you apply as a topper, or if you apply as a one and done, you probably have to work your brush into the product a little bit more to ensure you get enough on the lid and enough to blend out. But the finished result will be beautiful because, again, it's a little more drier in consistency, where this has a little more color richness. The base color, not as potent, but you get more sparkle, I think, from the Scattered Light Pots. And going into Mother's Fetish Eyes, this is in Platinum Bronze. Listen, these liquid eyeshadows are intense. They're intense. They definitely have a lot more going on, but you gotta work with them quickly. Because look, if you don't, because they blend well once you just apply them on the lid, okay? And just look at that shine. That is incredible. Again, compared to the Chromolux definitely a little more metallic, leaning more metallic. This is definitely more high shine. You gotta make sure you get it all over your lid, all right? However you wanna blend it, however you wanna place it, do not waste any time. And next we have the Charlotte Tilbury. In case anyone was wondering, all right, I wouldn't compare this to Chromolux. This is an entirely different formula. We're looking at a mousse, all right? A straight up mousse that is not gonna have the same effect as a Chromolux. This is giving more satin, all right? This is a little more low key. Shine is beautiful, but you see the texture is completely different. This is a lot more softer, skin-like, satin-like. This is more metallic, got a little more shimmer in there. But if you were wondering about the, what are these called officially? The Eyes to Mesmerize. There you go. And lastly, the Phyto Surgeons Flash Fluorescents. These kind of remind me of Natasha's Chroma Crystal Top eye pots, right? These are harder pressed. They have nice base of color, but it's more so, it's a little drier. It doesn't have the same pickup as the Chromolux, right? So, and I totally, so that's not really the shade of Magnetic Maples because I had left over from Marc's sequence. Let's try a cleaner finger. All right, let's go in with Maple Magnetic again. Here we go. There, that's truer to what it exists in the pot. So these are tougher to pick up. I like to use my finger instead of a brush. You could use a brush, a heavy dutier one, something that's thicker. I'm thinking like the Chikuhodo F10 from the Silver Fox line that is designed with its various bristle lengths to pick up something that's a little tougher, like the Flash Fluorescence from Phytosurgeons. And that's okay to do. I don't have a problem with that. But those are my standout notes between the comparisons. And again, someone might argue that the Chromolux pots are kind of like what Pat's Metallic is giving. For example, what you find in her Quints, which I think are sensational. These are, I mean, knocked it all out of the park ever since they were introduced 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? Because it wasn't the first time they were introduced in the Star Wars collab. It was in the holiday release before that, or the holiday release that released the same year. So I guess 2022, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. So this formula here, you know, major shine. Major shine. Okay, you could argue shinier than what the Chromolux is giving. And I think some people feel, why get the Chromolux if it's giving a similar finish like what's found in her eyeshadow palettes in regards to her metallic formula? I say that I think the Chromolux is more blend friendly, is creamier because the metallic sometimes in her palettes, they could be a little drier, and it's almost like you took, this is what the Chromolux is to me, it's almost like you took Natasha's metallic formula that's not necessarily like her specialized finishes, like the wet effect and the super duper metallic whatever that she has in her palette. I'm thinking what is in Glam or like Old Gold or Old Lila, right? A metallic like that, that's more satin and finish when you blend it out. You take that and put a little more pearl in there, you put a little more reflectivity in there, and that's what Chromolux is giving you. And I like that. I like that it is a single pot product. It has a great pickup. It's just seamless in terms of how easy it goes on the lid, how easy it is to blend. I think forgiving on many skin textures, especially once you blend it out, it's not going to grab your lid texture. I don't think it will accentuate it. You can let me know down below what your experience has been, if you've already received your Chromolux order or you've already been using Chromolux since last year. If you grabbed any of them from the Star Wars collab, let me know down below. I'm a fan of this formula, and I was thrilled to see that it expanded into new shades. Do I still want the other shades? 100%. If I were to get one, it would be Copper Siren. Copper Siren to me is gorgeous because I do love Intergalactic Gold, but it is gold. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted something what Copper Siren is giving. It looked to be like a warmer rose gold type of a shade, and I gravitate towards that more than like traditional yellow gold, which is fine. It's fine. And let me see, there was another one, maybe the bronzier one. Let me double check, because the nudie ones too, oh my goodness, let me see here. Midnight Temptress, okay, Nude Euphoria could be something. Golden Seductress I was eyeing because it looked like that light antique, almost green light gold, which I think spectacular on the inner corner. But then I got to thinking, a huge, like 3 grams of product just for my inner corner, that doesn't make any sense. And you see Copper Siren, how on the swatch at least, it's giving me rose gold. Sign me up. And then Twilight Temptation kind of looks like what Intergalactic Gold is giving, maybe a little more copper. I can't truly identify the difference here between the photo and what I see in front of me in Intergalactic Gold. But listen, I might just stick with these because the most beautiful ones in my opinion out of the 6 is Midnight Temptress and Lilac Liaison. Okay, those were the ones, and I'm happy to just get the duo. I have the 4. Listen, Rouge Rebellion, can we listen? Stop. This shade, oh my goodness, Oh, it's so beautiful. I love it. And maybe Pat did put in a little more pearl in this release. It's possible. It's possible. I'm not sure if she had these ready to go at the time and was waiting until now to release them, or she used the Star Wars release for, let's see how this works. Let's see what, can we do a little more? And when releasing the 6 shades, she bumped up the pearl content. I don't know, man. I think these got a little more. Let me know what you think down below. If you have both, if you can recognize any similarities and differences in respect to how shiny these are, if you think these are shinier than the original 4. Okay. And here is the final look. I wiped off and applied again because I didn't want to catfish in the thumbnails since I applied the Utopian shade on top and they were like, how come it doesn't look like that? Yeah, I didn't want to deal with that. So I just redid my eyes. I applied Midnight Temptress all over, then dabbed in Lilac Liaison, inner corner, lower inner corner, and dabbed on the center for extra just dimension and shine. I also failed to mention at the beginning of this video when speaking about the product details that it's also for lip application. Why don't we try that out? Midnight Temptress all over the lip. It could be a look. What can I use? Definitely a brush that's, you know what? I'm going to use Sonia's Fusion brush since this is meant for, whatchamacallit, cream and liquid. Oh, that's Midnight Temptress. Oh my gosh. Actually, I have Bronze Venus on the lip already, and definitely giving burnished vibes. I wouldn't go in like I am haphazardly, because if you want this to appear neater, but that ain't bad. Let me grab an actual lip brush. That would be easier, wouldn't it? This is my Esam lip brush to get the corners here. Oh, that's pretty. I like that. Okay. And we could dab a little bit of the lilac on the center. Okay. What I would like to do actually, so we see how it looks, Midnight Temptress, we see how it looks. I now want to go back in with Bronze Venus and then apply a little bit of the lilac shade on top. Reapplied Bronze Venus, now dabbing on a little bit of lilac here on the center. Ooh, that's pretty. If you wanted to do this, I think perhaps this will be a more successful approach with the lighter shades from the lineup, simply because it's not going to overtake any color you choose to apply before, right? Obviously, if you wanted your lips to look exactly like the color, then you would prioritize that application, maybe just put like a balm or something, or I'm thinking like a gloss embrace, something with little color, depending on, of course, the Say Glossy Bounce might be a nice example, or perhaps you would just go in on no lip product, right? Straight from Chromolux Tulip to fully present that shade on your lip. I probably wouldn't use a Chromolux on my lips, typically because I like something more neutral when paired with a colorful eye like I have on now. I mean, not super colorful, but you know, just I wanted to highlight the eyes, except the lip. But that's a look for sure. If you wanted lips and eyes to match nice, you can go Chromolux eye, same color Chromolux lip, and call it a day. Look is complete. Well, family, I recommend these based on the expectations, right? Metallic, foiled, some shimmer. If you wanted more shine and you already have Pat McGrath's Motherships, dip into the Mastral shades and go layer crazy. If you want easy pickup from an eye product and seamless blendability when on the eyes, I mean, it doesn't get any easier than this. I just applied Midnight Temptress all over, and the way it was able to distribute, it's incredible. I love this product. And again, I think it encourages you to use your other Pat products. Perhaps I start with Midnight Temptress and then I'll follow up with Bronze Ecstasy. I think that'll be a beautiful combination to apply this matte on the edges. oh, that's just lovely. Or going into Moonlit Seduction, or going into Utopian Dream, going back, way back, hopping into Ritualistic Rose. There's so many combinations you can do, and that's the point. I think that's the point in acquiring all these products, is to eventually use them together and create something even more beautiful than what the product itself can yield solo. So hopefully this sprouted some inspiration. Even if you don't have the Chroma Luxe, you don't want to buy it, you have enough single eye pop products, perhaps you have some that I mentioned here, and you're going to go to town, you're going to have a ball with the looks. Oh my goodness, all the holiday looks are coming or have came already, and we're just going to do more. That's also a possibility. I'll see you down in those comments, family, and until then, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I will see you on here again with another review tutorial, Pat McGrath Mothership tutorial, because you know what? Maybe I should just redo all of them. And I owe you a ranking of her quads. Stay tuned for that. Take care, and I will see you again soon.